Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Linguistics Special Lecture Series, or LSLS. Organized by the UP Department of Linguistics, LSLS features talks by invited experts on various topics under the fields of theoretical and applied linguistics. This year, the installments of the Linguistics Special Lecture Series, numbers 3 and 4, are conducted in celebration of the centennial anniversary of the UP Department of Linguistics. The UP Department of Linguistics is an academic institution under the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, University of the Philippines, Diliman, which is distinctly focused on the scientific study, preservation, and promotion of Philippine languages and dialects through teaching, archiving, research, and publication. It is also mandated to use its research expertise to address language issues in the country. Aside from Philippine linguistics, the department is also recognized as an expert in the teaching of national languages of Asia. It is designated as a Center of Excellence in Foreign Languages by the Philippines Commission on Higher Education. We are fortunate to have with us two experts in Indian linguistics and language studies who will share with us the results of their research in their own fields. Joining us live are Dr. Anil Thakur and Dr. Sanjok Takosh from the Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, Varanasi. Before we start with their presentation, let us give you an overview of this morning's program. These back-to-back installments of LSLS are streamed live via the official Facebook page and YouTube channel of the UP Department of Linguistics. The program will officially start with Dr. Thakur's presentation on Indian linguistic diversity, to be followed, it will officially start with Dr. Ghosh's presentation on metaphors in advertisements in India, and to be followed by Dr. Thakur's presentation on Indian linguistic diversity. Questions and comments may be posted at any time on the comments section of the Facebook post and YouTube live stream video. This will be read during the Q&A portion and will be addressed by our guest speakers. To those of you who are tuned in live, you may claim your certificate of attendance after you have accomplished the evaluation form, the link of which will be provided throughout this session. The Google form will be open until 5 o'clock p.m. today, 4th of November 2022. At this point, let me introduce the first speaker. She is an associate professor at the Department of Humanistic Studies, Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, Varanasi. Her major research interests are cognitive linguistics, lexical semantics, pragmatics, syntax pragmatics, interface studies, and lexical knowledge representation in generative lexicon for NLP. To deliver a paper titled Cross-Cultural Study of Verbal and Visual Metaphors in the Advertisements, let us all welcome Dr. Sanjok Takosh.
Thank you, Professor Javier. I'm really glad to be part of your program centenary celebration, to be here in Philippines. Thank you so much, everyone, all other colleagues whom I can see and whom I cannot see. Uh, let's go to the presentation. And yeah. So today's talk will focus on the cross-cultural study of metaphors in the advertising languages. I will take up both verbal as well as visual metaphors with some examples of from two different domains of advertisement. One is from food and beverage advertisements, and other is from the beauty product advertisements. So we know in the global world, multinational companies are making advertisements in different languages, targeting different countries and cultural groups. So the same products, when launched in different countries, often use different persuasive and effective strategies through verbal and visual language, because at the main speech act, which we find in advertising language, is the act of persuasion. And metaphors are very powerful tool for communicating information, communicating important messages through to the target audience. We find both verbal as well as visual metaphor to be a very useful tool for persuasion. In the advertising language, like advertisements, now if you talk about print, in this we have taken, actually I have taken only print advertising, which has both verbal as well as visual message. So it's actually multimodal advertisements. And if we take, you can, if we go to the YouTube uh, advertisements of the same product, you can see the forms of film, which is also multimodal. So, to study selected television advertisements of multinational brands when they are launched in English and for English speaking audience, and their counterparts in India for Indian television commercials. Actually, I haven't taken the videos here for the sake of restricting the talk. I have taken only the tagline, which and the ad which comes without the video, still photo picture. To find out, we will try to see here how metaphors and metonymy change the narrative of the advertising cross culturally, and to study the role of social factors and culture on the creation of metaphors. Now we know from Lecoq and Johnson's seminal work of 1980, the metaphor is no longer a figurative speech used in literature only, but primarily a matter of thought and action, and secondarily, only derivatively, it belongs to language. It is widely studied in cognitive semantic framework, and I would say that this is the most studied topic since 1980 in cognitive semantics. It is studied as a linguistic trope that connects language and cognition. Metaphors are used to connect one familiar source domain with another target domain. The cognitive metaphor theory says that there are two domains, one is source and one is target, and the metaphorical expressions are connecting these two domains, which we understand any unfamiliar target domain with the familiar source domain, which is embedded in our universal bodily spatiotemporal experiences. Like life is a journey, we understand life in terms of a journey where there are some commuters, who the travelers who take up the journey, so that we as traveler take up the life's journey. There are ups and downs in that journey. So also in our life there are ups and downs. There will be some crossroads in the journey. There will be um, other obstacles as well as joy in this journey. So in this way we understand journey, life as a journey. So, if metaphors are a matter of cognition, then they should also be present in non-verbal expressions like pictures, films, gestures, and when these are combined with language in a multimodal environment. And indeed, they are. Pictorial and visual metaphors are widely studied by Forsville, and this is from his work from 1994 till today 2022, when has been working on pictorial and visual metaphors in cross-cultural situations. So their persuasive effect also has been studied experimentally by scholars of different in different times, taking data from the corpus. So this work is also based on the extended cognitive metaphor theory of Kovets's 2000, 2005, and 2006, and later on 2015, where Kovets's emphasizes on the context of metaphorical meaning. So Lecoq and Johnson said that all the metaphors are embedded in our cognition. So there is universal cognition happens associated with some metaphor creation. However, when we see actually the metaphors which we find in different languages, we will find that the context of the metaphorical meaning are very important to create the metaphor. So Kovets has found out talks about four types of context: situational context, discourse context, bodily context, conceptual cognitive context where ideology, history, concerns, and interests are found. So we are actually much into this situational context, physical environment, cultural and social situations, which play a pivotal role in making metaphors in different and languages while contextualizing that advertisement in a local scenario. Now let's see the advertisement of Coca-Cola all throughout its history from 2000. This is the Coca-Cola English ad, Coca-Cola Enjoy 2000, where Coke is fun. Coke verbal metaphor is Coke is fun. 2001 Life Tastes Good, Coke is life. And Coca-Cola Real, Make It Real, Coke is Purity. 2006-9 Coke Side of Life, Open Happiness, Coke is Happiness. Share a Coke, there is a Coke for we and us and for you, Coke is sharing. Taste feeling, Coke is feeling. And then a Coke is a Coke, together is beautiful. This is Coke is Unity, which talks about togetherness. And the last one, 2021, in the pandemic time, Open to Better, Coke actually replaced its brand name by some positive words on the bottle. I promise to listen more just for you. Coke is positivity, stands for positivity here. So we find that the Coke is compared, which is a concrete object, is actually compared with some abstract quality or object. So this is not like the cognitive metaphor theory where the abstract thing is understood in terms of concrete object. In the advertisements of food and beverage, we often find that the concrete food and beverage, it has been associated in terms of some abstract quality like happiness, like life, and some feeling or unity, even unity metaphor. So, and how look at the how the real came into existence. The word real was used in between 2003 and 2005 when the two rival brands Pepsi and Coke were in tough competition. So that time only that the real or the authenticity of Coke was in the focus. Now, if you look at the history of Coke's slogans in Hindi in India, so it came back in 1999 with this slogan, "Jo chaho ho jaye Coca-Cola Enjoy." Whatever you want, become that Coca-Cola Enjoy. So here, Coke is good wish, which sending a good wish to whatever you want, get it. Then the very important slogan, which is crucial for Coke's marketing strategy in India, "Thanda matlab Coca-Cola," cold means Coca-Cola, where the Coke is compared to coldness, one of the quality of the Coke, that it is a metonymical expression, that the one quality is ascribed to the whole product. And also in 2006, "Sabka Thanda Ek," everyone's cold is one. These two are the most famous taglines of Coca-Cola in India. So which means Coke is compared to coldness, and the metaphor associated with the last one is Sabka Thanda Ek, Coke is togetherness. So this was introduced because there are a lot of other local cold products available in India, like lassi and other kinds of sharbat, which uh, the Coke has to take the market from those local products. So unless that Thanda is, and which are together referred as Thanda in Hindi. So to get the market, it was necessary for Coke to focus on the particular aspect of coldness. And in 2003, look at the ad line, "Panch matlab chota Coke," 5 means small Coke. So here also Coke is associated with affordability to reach the small towns, which was very, very important step to reach Coke to even nowadays, even in the villages. Then 2018, 21, and 22 come with a very different type of when the market is stabilized, very different type of tagline. Share a coke this Diwali. Diwali is a very important festival, and share a coke with papa or bhai. So these are the terms for father and brother. So coke is sharing, coke is family bond. 2021 and 22 is follow the bottle, where you have Koki's family bond, and here also is bar gale mil ke kaho happy Diwali. The tagline is saying that let's say happy Diwali with hugging this time. So this is because of we were not open for 2 years, so 2021 end and 22 when people are trying to beat other relatives, this new tagline came in. This was generated in this specific social context. Now, when you say that when a brand was introduced, the coldness feature was important metonymically, which was used for the product itself. But when it is established, also the affordability feature. But when it is established, food and beverages are always associated with the major festivals in India, where celebration is equal to good food sharing with the family. Thus, localization of the product is reflected in the advertisement slogans. Okay. Now, uh, yeah. So if you look at this picture, there's a white background and black letter, which is distance. This year, distance won't get us down. This is a Coke International ad, pictorial ad, and we'll talk about visual cues of metaphor here. So white background and black letter talks of negative word distance. Red background and white letter talks of positive words. So all the positive word, this one won't get us down. Distance is the negative word, which is in black, and the others are in white. And the big open quotation marks, see the open quotation marks, and the last quotation is going out of the screen. So this symbolizes starting of a conversation, and this is the most recent pandemic, after pandemic pictorial visual metaphor for Coke, which was introduced in the West. Now look at this, which is share a Coke with Papa, which is written in Devanagari script, the Hindi word for father, and the brand name is replaced here with the word Papa. The bat and ball is a symbol of quality playing time. These are the visual symbols which are used for quality time. Coke is for family bond here. The faraway background of the city. This Coke is placed on a window, in front of a window, and there is a faraway background of the city, and keeping the Coke inside a house also depicts bonding with the family. This is the most recent Coke is sharing pictorial ad of Coke in India. Okay, next we come to English slogans. Cadbury's. There's a glass and a half in everyone. Cadbury's milk. So this is the most important slogan which we find all throughout Cadbury Dairy Milk's ad. The ingredient of the chocolate is focused in the slogan, and the pictorial will also show two glasses. One is half and one is full, and there is a glass of half and full in every milk chocolate, Cadbury's milk chocolate. And the second one we find is goodness that melts your heart. So Cadbury is good words here. Like the good words, it melts your heart. The function of the product is focused, which can actually talk of the closeness and friendship, good words, etc. Now in Hindi, the the tagline which has been used over years is "Kuch अच्छा हो जाए, कुछ मीठा हो जाए." Let's have something good, something sweet. So Cadbury is associated with something good, which stands for something good and something sweet. Also, look at this how sweets, like India is a country where many local sweet products are available in different regions. Now, if you have to compete with them local sweets and introduce Cadbury in that market, the sweetness feature is very important here to introduce and grab that market, so that you can use, like, it is also related to the festival in front, like in every festival we use sweets. So as a gift in festival celebration like Raksha Bandhan, which is a festival of brother and sister, or Diwali, which is very popular festival all over India, the Cadbury's Dairy Milk introduces gift pack, and that is in replacement of local sweets. So the sweetness feature is very important here, so that it can replace the many local sweets. So, and it is also associated with the goodness, like the goodness which we develop over bonding with others. Now we come to the next domain, the beauty metaphors. These advertisements is collected from the beauty products, international beauty products, and their Indian counterparts. Here we'll see the source of beauty metaphors have shifted from the body domain to the more abstract domains related to culture, such as women empowerment, their identity, voice, and space in the society. Like Sephora International Identify as Way 2019 tagline, L'Oreal Stand Up Against Street Harassment. And these are the most im- uh, common and important taglines of these two important international brands. Sephora is also has one more. It's the beauty you give. It is also expressed as love of the near one. So this tagline shows that the beauty is not universally defined. It's the beauty which is actually comes from the love of the near ones. It's the beauty you give. And also Pantene International 2021 Love LGBTQ Kids. So these are some of the international brands tagline which we find in very recent years, where the beauty products are not at all talking about the products, not at all talking about the effects of the products, but talking about some important social issues. When these same now this is a picture like the unlimited power of beauty. Sephora is nothing like written here about the product, whether it is a lipstick or a makeup item or whatever. So there are different faces, all from different cultures, and look at the skin color, the hair color, the eye color of these people. They are very different. And the by showing this, Sephora is conveying the message that beauty is not something which can be universally defined. They are very different. And even an LGBTQ, like there is one picture of lesbian couple here. So women of different ethnicity uh, is is in that particular ad, and tagline is also unlimited power of beauty, along with the visual stands for the product's endorsement of inclusive multiple faces of beauty. Now this is very interesting. This is an ad for men which is in the bold, and actually this ad is of L'Oreal lipstick. And if you look at the lipstick, how the lipstick stick is increasing, height of the lipstick is a symbol for the increased profitability. So the women force, when they come to 30% in the workplace, the profitability of the workplace increases plus 15. That is shown here. So that is why this is giving a message to the, to also, I mean, as we know that in a global world, women are still underrepresented in the workplace. To attract them towards those multinational uh, companies, to represent women there more, this is an ad which is providing some positive message, not just to the women but also, I mean, this is in bold, this is an ad for men, which shows that the profitability in the workplace increases with the lipstick. So lipstick, here the beauty is profitability, and lipstick is a symbol which is used for representing beauty, and red background also depicting positivity and power. Red is always for power. Now this is the hand is stand up against street harassment. This is L'Oreal's pictorial ad. Hand is straight up is sign for stop. So stop gesture, and this is for stop harassment. The letter D on the palm stands for 5Ds method. I will talk about it. And the word up, look at the word up that is in red color, also depicts power. What is this D? Now, this is very localized, contextualized. L'Oreal has partnered with NGO Holaback and is promoting that 5Ds. This NGO is promoting 5Ds method stop for stopping sexual harassment and harassment of women on the street. So these are the 5Ds. So D stands for distract the perpetrator, delegate by asking some help, document the harassment, direct by speaking up, delay by comforting. So this sign is not understood by someone who does not know the social and historical context where an NGO Holaback is promoting these 5Ds method. Even I was not aware of this, because this is very context and ideology specific, where L'Oreal Paris is actually partnering with this particular NGO and doing this ad. Whereas the same product, when we see in Indian advertisements, actually Sephora is very new in the Indian market. They don't have much advertisements. They have some short films in the YouTube which are endorsed by some actresses, and they focus only on the bodily metaphors of beauty, like good skin, bright eyes, shiny hair, all these things. So, however, the brands which are already established, they have taken into account other social aspects. Let's look at some of the Sephora tagline. One is in my bag. These advertisements are mainly promoting the products by some actresses and what are the essential necessities in their bag of beauty products from Sephora. And the other is making a look. So this is also a guide to use the products to make a look, because this is new in the market, competing with others major uh, competitors in the beauty products. They are actually right now only talking about the products. L'Oreal is comparatively old in the Indian market, and this Indian actress is endorsing this product. However, L'Oreal also focuses only on the s- on the bodily symbol of beauty, which you can see. So this is a hair product advertisement. So repair hair damage, which is in the word repair comes twice, and which is in the bold ones, once in the box. So this is important. The function of the product is important, and the beautiful hair, shiny hair, which is shown is the result of using this. So that function is the persuasion strategy here. However, look at this ad. Now, this is also a pictorial ad of Dove. Now, Dove is an international product, but in the Indian market for quite some time now. So they have actually established their products, the skincare products as well as the hair care products. So they are focusing on social issues now. Rajeshwari was not pretty enough for her would-be in-laws. To us, she is beautiful. Now, what is it talking about? This is talking about the uh, the system which is still prevalent in India, very important social issue of testing a lady's beauty in the traditional arranged marriage. Now, where the beauty of a girl is judged by the long hair and height, skin color, soft skin, all those bodily features. So, Dove is the very recent ad of Dove is stop the beauty test. Look for the beauty, not the flaws. And in Hindi, this is Kamiya nahi khubiya dekhiye. So look for the good qualities, not the flaws. However, though Dove is talking about this in this as a YouTube version also, where the total narrative uh, is actually projecting the same thing, where different girls are talking about their harassment in the marriage market, and the stop the beauty test ad uh, is actually uh, asking for look for the good qualities, not the flaws in the girls. However, campaigning for LGBTQ community is still avoided in the advertisements in India, as it is far from wide social acceptance till now. So, from the example discussed, we conclude that the different metaphors are created based on many factors. So, when the product is launched first time in a new country, the functions and qualities of the product play a significant roles in making its acceptability. So, that we found in food beverage as well as the beauty products as and some of the qualities of the food beverage and the beauty product is metonymically representing the whole product there. So metonymy is important there. However, situational context such as physical environment, cultural and social situation is plays a pivotal role in making a metaphor. So that we can find that it is relating to some of the social issues, very local, as well as the celebration. The food and beverages are always associated with celebration and the cultural norms that family bond with the food and beauty products. So to interpret, how the metaphors are interpreted? To interpret a particular symbol, especially in a visual metaphor, one needs to know the cultural, social, political, as well as historical context where it is made. Say, for example, we cannot understand the D on the pump unless we know the historical and political context of this partnering of L'Oreal and the Holaback. Therefore, metaphors are said to be a matter of human cognition by Lakoff and Johnson, this does not hold for creative metaphors, which are especially found in advertisements. So, advertisements use very different strategy to make metaphors, and we have to go to the cultural aspect of the metaphor creation as well as interpretation there. So, Cobbett says extended cognitive metaphor theory is useful for understanding these metaphors. The language of advertising. Finally, we conclude that language of advertising can be a good point to start the study of the verbal as well as visual metaphors in the cross-cultural context. And this kind of study is useful for the marketing experts also to find out the efficacy of an advertisement and its persuasive effect. Lots of psychological studies have been done actually to find out the efficacy of some of the products and on the effect of them on the consumers. The study of multimodal metaphors from the short advertising films may also provide further insights in the process of metaphor making. So, thank you. This was a short presentation, and also we should actually look for the visual signs such as gestures, symbols, colors. Everything is important in the visual medium, and the fostering the study of all these metaphors will certainly improve our cross-cultural communication. Thank you so much. This is the major uh, references which I referred to this term. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gosh. Okay. Your paper is reflective of the seemingly universal experience of people all over the world, as consumers and multilingual, multicultural speakers. I'm sure that the audience will find your research relatable also. So, Dr. Gosh will be awaiting your questions and comments during the open forum. Okay, so as Dr. Gosh and Dr. Thakur are preparing their next presentation to our audience, questions and comments may be posted on the Facebook page and YouTube channel of the UP Department of Linguistics. Dr. Gosh and Dr. Thakur will address them during the open forum. You're still tuned in to the Linguistic Special Lecture Series numbers 3 and 4, featuring two experts on Indian linguistics and language studies from the Department of Humanistic Studies at the Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, Varanasi. The LSLS 2022 is part of the centennial celebration of the UP Department of Linguistics. To those of you who are watching the live stream of today's event, you may claim your certificate of attendance after you have accomplished the evaluation form, the link of which will be provided throughout this session. The Google form will be open until 5 o'clock p.m. today, Philippine Standard Time, 4th of November, 2022. Questions and comments may be posted at any time on the comment section of the Facebook post and YouTube live stream video. These will be read during the Q&A portion and will be addressed by our guest speakers. Now, our next speaker is an associate professor at the Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, Varanasi, and has training, teaching, and research experience in generative syntax, comparative linguistic analysis, and resource creation. To deliver a paper titled Indian Linguistic Diversity, a Brief Outline, let us all welcome Dr. Anil Thakur. Dr. Thakur?
Namaskar. Yeah. Good morning, uh, all of you. Thank you, James. Uh, I should go to presentation directly. Yes, here. Yeah. The questions are for later. Yeah, topic that I will talk on quite obvious, simple, at the same time complex because uh, when you go into the final details of diversity, we find lots of complexity at different layers. Uh, I will, of course, the title indicates a restrict talk to linguistic diversity, and in passing reference, of course, diversities are connected. So I will refer to some other levels or layers of diversity in Indian context. Of course, diversity is a global phenomena, and we all uh, very much are aware of this. And we all encounter this, we all face this, we all actually recognize the existence of diversity across the globe, across all cultures, across different aspects of our existence. I will, yeah, so, yeah. I'll begin with some basic facts about the Indian linguistic context. Uh, of course, the information, uh, the slides, the context that I'm sharing with you, uh, most of them are available in public space, and you can familiarize yourself, acquaint yourself. You can go through them whenever you have some interest in time to actually know about Indian linguistic diversity. Uh, India, of course, is well known for unity in diversity, or having uh, complex diversity across different layers of existence, human life. Uh, India actually has many languages, and when we discuss terms like language, dialects, mother tongues, standard languages, non-standard languages, variations. So the picture gets really complicated, and lots of indeterminacy also actually exist uh, in this context. So I am trying to simplify those complexities by relying on most largely on data from government or official sources. Uh, Indian Constitution recognizes 22 languages uh, as they are called scheduled languages. They are part of the Constitution. Uh, these 22 languages are listed in the Indian Constitution. Hindi and English are official languages. Hindi primary official language, and English to begin it was adopted as uh, temporary or ad hoc official language, but later on, because it is hard to actually get unanimity or consensus on such a diverse issue, such a complex issue, politically, socially. So English continues as one of the major um, actually medium of official correspondence, as well as transactions uh, across various departments at a central level, as well as across states, different provinces in India. Yeah, these are the names of the 22 scheduled languages, and more very interestingly, English is not among those 22 languages. So, if we include English, we will have 23 languages, which are actually part of official uh, listing, and these languages, uh, 23 languages are written in 14 different scripts. So that makes the picture, the linguistic diversity is really complex. And if you, even in one province, if you, in, it is quite uh, actually common to encounter multiple scripts, uh, writings in multiple scripts. Uh, so these 22 languages, or including English, the three languages are official languages, uh, different official languages of different provinces, states, and they are medium of education, employment, and they get priority over other languages which are not part of the scheduled languages in research and development, in teaching, and in other official matters. To get acquainted ourselves with the Indian structure, India has 28 states, provinces, we call them states, uh, and 8 union territories. They are centrally administered. And to begin with, uh, India, say, after getting independence in 1947, the states were organized primarily on linguistic basis. So, for example, Assamese language, and that is the official language or primary language of the state of Assam. Bangla is again uh, the official or the most prominent language, primary language of the state West Bengal. Likewise, we have Gujarati in Gujarat, Punjabi in Punjab, Tamil in Tamil Nadu, etc. Of course, there are overlappings uh, uh, in and around the state borders, but these languages are the uh, first languages of the respective states, provinces, and in that sense, almost all the states are actually multilingual. Yeah, these are some of the basic pictures again to acquaint ourselves with the uh, kind of number, and as well as how we approach counting number in the Indian context. In linguistic survey, in general survey in 1961, Indian government, of course, official survey, it recognized 1652 languages. But when we see 1971, it came down to 108 because most of the speech communities, different speech communities, uh, uh, they were the number of the speakers were less than 10,000, so they were excluded from the official listing as a language, and so number came down to 108, and others were of course other languages were either clubbed as varieties, dialects, uh, things like that. So they were not listed as language. In 2011, we have 122 languages, and these are official figures. There was a survey, very comprehensive and very widely actually recognized. Mm, People's Linguistic Survey of India, a private initiative in 2012, it recognized a meticulously done survey. Documentations have been done, and some of the volumes are out, and many are to come. So documentation is still in process. It recognized 780 languages and over 66 different scripts, and many new scripts are still in offering. They are being efforts are being made to create more scripts to accommodate e- different characteristics of different languages being recognized or being empowered. Yeah, then again we have this I mentioned the terminological complications like language. When we call it language in linguistics, of course we are aware of these terms, how these terms have been used socio-politically in a different way across different yeah, periods of time. Uh, in a survey done a very long time back in India, in British India, 1903, across a couple of decades, George Grierson, it identified 179 languages with 544 dialects. So dialects were categorized differently, and they were found. They were actually categorized on different parameters. Most of them are not linguistically well found. And then in 1921 survey, we had 188 languages and 49 dialects. So dialects and language demarcations began to happen. We have 75 major languages and 335 household languages. So the term kind of even if even now uh, across India, different speech communities. If we go for a survey or field work, most of the speakers are not uh, well aware of the of their own language, of their own speech. So they will not be very forthcoming about the name of the language they are actually using or they are a speaker of. So they sometimes actually say uh, they are a speaker of the dominant language, the speak language in that area, and in many cases, speakers will also hide their actual mother tongue for different reasons that I will not go into now. So that is another level of complication, social complication. So how household languages were recognized in 1991, Anthropological Survey of India. It recognized first 6,748 communities, and then there was a revision, kind of rechecking and checking, and it concluded with 4,635 communities across India. In Ethnologue 2022, just latest, uh, 489 languages are listed as Indian languages, as current languages in India. I would like to actually also uh, highlight some of the findings, observations in People's Linguistic Survey of India. So this survey, uh, the latest one and most comprehensive, widely recognized, accepted in academic as well as in administrative domain. So this was inclusive in the sense that in several surveys we have seen in earlier slides that dialects and languages uh, demarcated, so there were differences were made, and if a speech community has more than 10,000 speakers, only then that speech was recognized or listed as language. So this survey did not follow that, and it is inclusive. It irrespective of the number of speakers of a language or dialect, uh, they don't actually differentiate language dialect. Uh, all the irrespective of the number of speakers, all the languages are listed. And in doing so, uh, even we have found there are speech community, there are languages which have as low number of speakers as five. So, so it's like that. And another highlight is there are 66 languages in a single state, a state or province in India, Arunachal Pradesh, a small province in northeastern part. It actually has 66 languages in one state. So you can see the kind of sorry, I want to go back. Yeah. Then in another state, West Bengal, the survey found 9 scripts to be currently used simultaneously for 38 different languages in one province, West Bengal. Hindi most widely spoken, more than 450 million. maybe at present some survey, some on official surveys, they count 525 million speakers across all the states and union territory. English, this survey found increasing use of English, in the sense that in 1971 only 187,000 speakers reported English to be their mother tongue, first language at least. In 2012, this survey found 10 million speakers, they reported English to be their first language. In all these 780 languages, 480 are tribal languages. Yeah. It also reported 250 languages died in the last 50 years in Indian context. This is really an alarming figure, and it kind of uh, sometimes may indicate is diversity dying, or is diversity getting minimized. Uh, it's not exactly the figure. It, there are scholars, there are group of scholars, there are groups. They actually, of course, argue that if proper efforts are not made on time, there are several other languages, smaller languages with fewer hundred of speakers, right? They are at the verge of death. They are really endangered. This survey also actually identified several languages, the number of which speakers, the number of speakers of for which reported decreasing. At the same time, there are languages in India, the speakers are increasing. And I have mentioned this actual and pseudo figures because uh, whether it is official survey or non-official survey, like academic survey, survey by private groups, organizations, uh, the attitude towards language, people's attitude towards language, and the socio-political factors, they play a very important role, because language is also you all very well know that language is very much connected with our identity, speakers identity, speakers cultural and ethnic identities. So many times they have that attitude, they have a very high degree of language maintenance, and they report when they are become aware that their language is not being okay attended to properly, their language is not their speech community is not being given the importance or significance they deserve, they become aware, and they report their language in a much more bigger way. So that actually alters the figure, survey figure, many times. And then again, there are factors like language maintenance and shift. So in many cases in India, still because of awareness, because of literacy, because of many socio-cultural and economic factors, many speech communities, they don't report their own language as their language. They actually either hide, or they are not much aware of how to report, what to report. So they, when they are asked, what is your language, what language do you speak, use at home or in your family surroundings context, they mostly have reported Hindi, although Hindi is not their mother tongue. Hindi is kind of lingua franca, or kind of linked language for them, dominant language in the public space. At the same time, they have their own language, native language, first language, uh, which they use at home. So the report is many times not as actual, as authentic as it should be. So that is another point of complication. Then, of course, number counts. And if you Google linguistic scenario or the linguistic uh, uh, diversities or linguistic issues, challenges in Indian context, you'll find lots of socio-political challenges, issues are there, and they are based on actually a language count. So whether language count should be taken into account to actually because you see, as a nation, as a country, as a actually administrative unit, there is also need to have a shared medium of communication. And Hindi, because it is spoken by uh, more than say a large number of speakers in India, uh, so largest number of speakers. So Hindi was granted as official uh, 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 status, and other languages were accorded official languages of different states. And of course, English continues to be a kind of link, a kind of replacement, as long as there is consensus on an indigenous language, either Hindi or any other language. uh, English will most actually probably continue to be the linked language, the language of higher education and commercial transactions, etc. So this gives a glimpse of different languages, major languages in India, and their number, their count. This again gives a glimpse only because we cannot include, it's difficult to include all the languages. It only gives a glimpse. So major languages are in bold, and then minor languages to some extent see represented in different colors, and see different uh, linguistic landscape in India represented by colors. Yeah, and these languages, Indian languages, primarily we have major five major language families. Uh, Five in the sense we have not. I have not. Oh, I have not mentioned another one. That's essentially Andamanese uh, languages were recognized as belonging to different family. So Indo-European, mostly Indo-Aryan, so most common, and more than 70%. Some survey says more than 75% speakers uh, are from this language family. Then Dravidian language family, 25, more than 20, 25. That there is variation across different surveys, and other language families are also represented, because most of the language, tribal languages, they belong to these families, which are not represented by majority speakers. And besides, we have also certain isolates and languages in Andaman Nicobars. They are still to be actually well studied, and their family, their okay, genealogy is still to be finally concluded. Yeah, this is also important in the context of Indian linguistic diversity. Uh, those who are aware of about a bit Indian historical uh, context, uh, actually India uh, was British, under British uh, uh, rule for a long time, and officially it was 1858 to 1947, but it started much earlier in an effective way. And before that, Mughal period, it lasted for many centuries, and the official language of the Mughal period was uh, Persian. So because of that, because of the a long period of Mughal rule, a Persian or a convergence of Persian with the indigenous languages became one of the major linguistic phenomena in Indian subcontinent. And later on, English. English still continues to be one of the most important language, language of power, language of prestige, language of actually elite, things like that. So, language of actually cross speech community interactions. Then Hindi, the term Hindi, the language Hindi, actually there are lots of research in linguistics as well as in language related domains. Uh, Hindi became important since in independent India in 1947, and also it started taking root during the freedom movement, when freedom fighters and people at large, they felt to actually to felt the need for a common medium of communication, and there were multiple languages, and because of long colonial rule. So interactions across different speech communities were not very smooth. So Hindi became, and Hindi started taking important shape. In the beginning, Hindi, Hindustani, Urdu, they were the terms, and Urdu is important in the sense that Hindi, Urdu, they are still uh, to some groups of scholars, and they are considered one language, written in two scripts. But at the same time, Hindi, the official Hindi of the Indian government, that Hindi is based on Sanskrit and indigenous linguistic lexicon base, or grammar base. The structure is primarily derived from indigenous languages, primarily Sanskrit, and Urdu is based on Persian Arabic script as well as lexicon based. So most of the lexicons are derived. Of course, Hindi, the colloquial Hindi has okay, lots of Persian Arabic words, borrowed words, but there has been efforts to replace them by uh, indigenous terminologies, and this also actually takes us to a very interesting phenomena in Indian context, uh, in the context of Indian linguistic diversity, the case of code mixing and shifting. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, English happens to be or continues to be one very important actually medium uh, to to link to actually to communicate across different local or indigenous languages. So lots of words of English origin being still used very popularly, very commonly in Hindi, and also in other languages, Bangla, Tamil, Telugu. There are lots of borrowed English words, and there are also in linguistics as well as in mass media and communication studies. There is a term English. So Hindi and English code mixing. This is a very important phenomenon in the sense that there is a popular code in in public space, mostly in public space, in commercial transactions, in marketplaces. We find a Hindi which is not uh, 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 as official Hindi is lexical items. Yeah. Yeah, this in this slide I try to point out certain uh, actually observations in Indian context that the diversity uh, in India is well recognized, well accepted, and well celebrated also. So from public to private, from people to government, actually we as Indians, we understand that diversity is a way. Diversity actually and unity, they coexist. So this recognition by the people at large of the fact that diversity is inherent. Diversity is inherent, and it coexists with universality. So this gives a very important force towards treating diversity in Indian context, towards treating linguistic diversities and other diversities, of course. So people are very much comfortable. People are very much actually welcoming, very much actually celebrating the different types of diversities, including linguistic diversities. And there have been efforts from both official government side, as well as private organizations and groups in academics, mm, to actually study, identify, and develop to maintain linguistic diversities. It began, I mentioned this survey, linguistic survey. So there is a division in Indian Government Ministry, language division. It is primarily dedicated to surveying, and identification of mother tongues, different varieties, and documenting them. Then there is Central Institute of Indian Languages. This institute is Central Institute, of course, and this is responsible for actually dealing with all issues or challenges arising out of linguistic phenomena in India. Of course, linguistic diversity in Indian context. So it has schemes, programs to develop and document linguistic analysis or grammars or lexical resources for all the languages, including 22 these listed languages, plus all the identified languages across Indian states, across India. So there have been efforts, and there have been lots of documentations to write grammars and document linguistic features of all these languages. Most of the languages actually have been documented, have been actually have some presence in also in actually at present in digital space. And then there is a separate division for Hindi, because Hindi has a special status in Indian context because of many socio-political factors, reasons. So it has different. There is different division or department to deal with, to promote Hindi as official language of the Union government. And then, of course, at present, not at present, of course, it began uh, uh, 2 3 decades earlier, began in 1990s. So there was very kind of important efforts and initiatives to bring technology to actually empower languages, to actually document languages. So it began with machine translation, and I say I actually spell out these points because when there is diversity, there are so many languages, and they are equally important for actual reasons, for communication, for maintaining social and uh, national harmony. So efforts were made to translate text across different languages. So English and Indian languages pairs, and Indian language to Indian language pairs. They became important pairs for technological interventions, and machine translation efforts were made at different government organizations as well as at different universities and institutions. And then there has been important focus to create resources corpus, and mainly for developing technological tools for Indian language, different Indian languages, and the motto, the objective of this has been to bridge uh, linguistic gaps, to actually bridge the to break the linguistic barriers. So these efforts have been most prominent to actually to handle, to actually uh, uh, to maintain diversities in Indian context, linguistic diversity. Then digital documentation has become very important efforts, and language revitalization and empowerment. For those languages I mentioned earlier, there are languages which have very low actually count of speakers, and because they are not economically viable from the point of view of livelihood, providing livelihood in that language. So those languages are being actually attended, especially attended to actually document them, to empower them in different ways, digitally, technologically, so that uh, there can be revival from their actually decreasing uh, numbers. And then of course to cater to research and developments across all these languages, we have financial supports in form of different schemes and projects at universities, institutions, and research organizations, and this is very inclusive, documenting those languages which are not yet documented, and okay. I quickly go to some of the slides. Yeah, linguistics. I wanted to actually indicate this to bring a point that this linguistic diversity is as ancient in the context of India as the nation itself is, and the tradition is quite ancient. It began in the Vedic period around 500 to 1500 BC, and there are lots of documented texts indicating that India was linguistically as diverse, or has been linguistically as diverse since the ancient times. And we have continued with the universalist as well as variationist traditions, and both have existed in both academic as well as popular tradition in the Indian context. At present, most of the Indian institutions, academic institutions, universities, and colleges, they have linguistics, teaching and research institutions. Of course, we have recently began uh, exploring multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary aspects of this discipline, particularly to actually harness technological advancements and bring technology uh, in uh, uh, in actually handling linguistic diversities. Uh, I will go quickly. I will go to this. There is this national education policy, and this highlights that there is a need for uplifting or advancement of indigenous languages, and they have a kind of a focus to minimize the dependence on English. But gaps are there because the policy and implementation there are gaps. The market-oriented factors and socio-cultural factors, there are gaps. So gaps remains. I wanted to conclude this with this, but I'm told I have only a few minutes left. Uh, Diversity at display. I wanted to give one case where this is a small city, Varanasi, where this city is a tourist hub and for domestic as well as international tourists. And because of that, for centuries, Indians with the different linguistic backgrounds, they have come and settled in this city, and they have carried on with their languages. And because of that, this city is a kind of display in diversity. I will quickly go to some of the yeah. So it's a symbol and signage. The symbol represents the cultural and socio-cultural aspects of the connectedness. People remains to be connected. They wants to be connected with their cultural okay backgrounds. At the same time, they are also market oriented. They want to actually attract actually clients, customers. So they go for English or the most popular language. Again, there is a blend of both scripts as well as language. So we have cases like where Roman and Devanagari scripts are blended. So Fija, uh, Firka, and then again, Bara is Hindi and Grill is English. So using multiple codes at the same time, and then actually yeah here bilingual. The local language is not at all mentioned here. Two languages mentioned here are not local language of this city. They are languages of faraway actually states, because speakers of those speech communities are settled here. So they use their own languages here and scripts. Yeah, these are some of the sources. You can easily access all these okay pieces of information if you are interested to actually get into this. Uh, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I hope I have finished in time.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Thank you very much for the linguistic tour of India. The Filipino audience members are trying to wrap our heads around the idea of a highly diverse linguistic space, covering a subcontinent such as India and dealing with more than a dozen scripts and almost 500 languages. We can't wait to start the open forum to accommodate questions and comments and possible collaborative research projects, with our two guest speakers. To our dear audience, questions and comments may be posted on the Facebook page and YouTube channel of the UP Department of Linguistics. Dr. Ghosh and Dr. Thakur will address them during the open forum. To those of you who are watching the live stream of today's event, you may claim your certificate of attendance after you have accomplished the evaluation form. the link of which will be provided throughout this session. The Google form will be open until 5 o'clock p.m. PST today, November 4, 2022. At this point, we're calling in Doctors Kosh and Thakur to entertain questions from the audience. Okay, so this first question is addressed to Dr. Gosh. Are there instances where a brand name has almost replaced the native word in its daily use? Like in the Philippines, for example, brands of toothpaste, diapers, and photocopiers are more used often than native words.
No, I haven't seen so far almost replacement.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. But we're not doing any product placement here, but in the Philippine context, in our experience, usually we use Xerox for the photocopying machine, or Qtex, a brand of nail polish, to refer to the actual nail polish, no matter the brand name. So
Oh,
in
generalization you are saying. So
yeah,
Xerox is, yes, yeah, very common.
yeah,
Xerox,
yeah,
that is used, yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, this is common, but that is actually replaced by Indian origined brands.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like for
I
soap
see.
brands of is Indian origin, and I
Uh-huh.
mean the daily use things are mostly Indian origins. What we
Mm-hmm,
are trying in the advertisements, they are multinational, but
mm-hmm.
multinational names are not replaced by Indian
Oh yeah.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of multinational names or products of multinational companies, have you observed similar advertising strategies to local products in India? Or is cultural adaptation and translation of values applied only to products of multinational companies?
Yeah, as I said, the local companies, like for the beauty products, which I have seen quite closely, we can see even the local products are going towards beauty as a power metaphor, or coming far from the beauty to show the glowing skin or the face and all those things. So even I can the name change happened actually very recently for a national product, Fair and Lovely. This is a fairness cream which was used for decades in its name, Fair and Lovely, and very recently the name has been changed to Glow and Lovely. So
Mm-hmm.
glow is for the glow of the like the glow in general, you can say the inner glow or whatever,
Yes.
outer glow both, but
Yeah.
not fair. So
Yeah.
the very connotation associated with that, the fairness is beauty, is
Yeah.
gone now.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah. The
has
same.
happened.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
same experience as in the Philippines. Fair skinned is no longer the the
Skin
norm
is
for
no
beauty.
longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's glowing skin. It's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
used
so
right
this
now.
has happened. And also, I mean, there is one which is I have not mentioned, but I remember right now. There is Tata Tanishq jewelry company who has advertisement with dark colored skinned
Yeah.
and ladies, and that was actually very recent development. Generally this doesn't happen, dark color
Yeah.
is not put in the advertisement, so this is happening in these products. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Gosh. Now we address these questions to Dr. Thakur. First off, are there documentations of the 250 extinct languages of India? How much do we know about them? How detailed are the documentation projects of these languages, if there are any?
Yeah, actually, the language, those languages which are reported to have died 250, and documentation for some of them actually are still in process, but many languages died beyond actually retrieval. So there was case, and I personally uh, have experience. I visited that speaker, single speaker in Andaman Nicobar Island, Great Andamanese community. There was single speaker of her language, and before any documentation or any initiative or any before people could become aware that she is the only speaker of her language, and this must be documented without losing time. She died, and language lost. We have lost the opportunity to document that language. So many languages which have died or reported to have died, so documentation could not be done for them. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's the question is related to the previous one. How does the government preserve or exert effort to support the Andaman and Nicobarese languages? And I think I want to follow this up with the other question. What's the consensus about the linguistic situation of the Harappan civilization? If you have any ideas or um, reference that you can refer to our audience.
Yeah, yeah. So in Andaman Nicobar Islands, uh, uh, there is a department for a long time, actually, for many decades. Department at I mentioned this Central Institute of Indian Languages, and also tribal welfare department at Andaman Nicobar. So they have been conducting actually documentation tasks, and really tough in the beginning because some of the communities are hostile, and accessing them in the beginning was very dangerous, actually. Not possible to go, but gradually some documentation could be done for languages which are reported at Andaman Nicobar. For example, for Great Andamanese, there is one tribe, and in 2000, around 2002 or 3, there were only 35 speakers of SP, that speech community language, and for decades one scholar tried to actually develop lexicon dictionary for that language.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
so there has been
Mhm.
effective efforts, very conscious efforts from the government side to actually preserve those languages, to document those languages. But at the same time, this market force,
Mhm.
the viability of a language, because unless uh, it is source of medium of livelihood,
Mhm.
medium of social upliftment,
Yeah.
even the efforts by the government is not
Mhm.
of much effect.
Mm.
Because speakers, the younger generations of the same that speech community, they start shifting to the language which actually give them opportunity for
Yeah.
better life.
Yeah.
So I saw the parents struggling to speak to their young children
Mhm.
in not their own language.
Mhm.
Parents, difficult for parents to actually to learn or to actually mm, speak a new language. For
Yeah.
newer generation, they are in their mobile. Though they go in the marketplace, they go to school and they learn the dominant language. So Hindi,
Yes.
kind of the parents struggle to uh, communicate with their own children in
Mhm.
Hindi, because children are not very much interested in carrying forward their own language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Now, I would like to address this question to Dr. Kosh. Regarding language use, are the advertisements mostly presented in English? Are there instances in which Hindi is used? If there are, do you think these advertisements utilize more metaphors that are specific to the Indian context?
Yeah, the Indian advertisements are using English to some extent, but Hindi. I gave examples from Hindi, like,
Mhm.
and also in other Indian languages, which I haven't studied so far. but yes, Hindi is the language which is, especially in the television commercials, the Hindi is the language when it is used for YouTube. Hindi is the language, and a lot of mixing. As I said, that the it depends on the products. It depends on the community to which the product is addressing. If the product is addressing like specifically for high end community who are in mostly in the big cities, the English is the language, like Sephora
Mhm.
and all, like they
Yeah,
have not
yeah,
reached the small cities also.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas for other international brands like the chocolate and Cadbury's is using Hindi. The tagline is Hindi, and also Nescafe and other, they are using Hindi and they are localizing it for, especially relating to the local context. So
yeah, yeah,
especially the environmental factors as well as the social cultural factors are very important in making metaphors there.
yeah. Thank you. Next question is also to Dr. Gosh. How different, you have any idea how different the metaphors are in Indian advertisements as opposed
Yeah,
to
I
other
saw
South
this question
Asian
in the
countries?
Facebook page.
Yeah, like Pakistan and
I
Bangladesh.
no, no,
I
no,
okay.
I
The
haven't
other,
really
yeah,
checked. Yeah.
yeah. So this
Yeah,
is a
actually,
recommendation for future
there will be
studies.
differences, I guess, even
Mhm.
across India, because
Yeah.
there are many languages and localization of the products happened. So, we because there are at least 22 scheduled languages in which the television is broadcast.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there will be differences across India. But I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
check with Pakistan or Bangladesh. No.
Yeah, it is also a common observation in the Philippines where the language to be used in advertisements depends on the type of product that they are trying to advertise. For example, if this is a product for housekeeping, for example, or cleaning any part of the house, usually it's for it's the language that's used is the local
Local.
language. But
Yes.
for beautifying one person, or for cars, or for any product that would give a certain social status to the
The,
consumers, mostly these advertisements are um, spoken in English.
yeah.
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 So
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
also
Yeah.
how long the product has entered, that depends on this. Initially, the like, even for the Dove, now Dove, when Dove
Yes.
entered, it was related to some cities. It could be confined to some cities. Now this has reached a wider audience, and that is why it has switched from its original version of the scheme to the social causes, and it is
Yeah.
making their advertisements in local languages, in all
Mm-hmm.
local languages.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Gosh.
Thank you.
Now, let's proceed with some questions from Facebook. This is for Dr. Thakur. How impactful are language substrates within the Indian subcontinent?
Language.
Substitute.
Substrates.
Yeah. Language substrate.
Yeah. Or do you have? Can you also give us, some of your ideas about the diglossic situation of India, or the attitudes, of speakers when it comes to multilingualism, language learning, learning local languages, and English also, or other foreign languages.
Uh, yeah. Can you a bit clarify the later queries?
Yeah, okay.
Bilingualism. So
Yeah,
bilingualism.
multilingualism, bilingualism, or diglossia, among the speakers in India. How do they find it, or what is their attitude about language learning? For example, other local languages in India versus learning foreign languages such as English, for example.
Yeah. First of all, let me mention that officially, government has a scheme or plan in the language planning that said three language formula: English, Hindi, and the local language. So, learning language or media of instruction uh, for higher education remained to be English, and for states, of course, state official languages. Plus, for technical and professional educations, English remained and it remains to be most widely okay, accepted medium of instruction. And at the government level, government has actually tried to actually to uplift, to give more importance to the language, local indigenous languages, so vernaculars.
Yeah.
So there have been efforts at government level. Of course, public demands and government policy. There have been certain gaps because of many socio-economic reasons. But the governments central as well as at state levels, they have actually been trying to empower vernacular languages. People have the attitude regarding bilingualism, multilingualism. Uh, uh, Actually, I mentioned this diversity is very much accepted, recognized, as well as celebrated in India. So, multilingualism has been a way of life. And attitude, I also mentioned that because of the socioeconomic reasons, there have been studies on language maintenance and language shift. Some of the speech communities, they are found to be maintaining their linguistic identities much more strongly. At the same time, some of the speech communities, they have been shifting. They have been reported to have shifted towards a dominant language in that localities, either because of migration for job and employment or education, or because of employability of not non employability of their language. They have shifted to a dominant language, for example Hindi. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Takol. Um, yeah. Uh, in relation to that, in terms of language genesis, have you found cases where a new variety or new language has emerged, such as out of contact between languages or others?
Well, actually, the case of Hindi Urdu itself, historically, we'll see it emerged because of certain socio-political situations in the Mughal period, and again because of the freedom struggle, uh, the need for a common language for communication across different languages. That need strengthened Hindi. So Hindi itself is a case where a new language took birth and became very important across period of time.
Mhm.
From Persian period, Mughal period to British period, and now in independent India. And again, I mentioned that there is a kind of code mixing, switching, very common phenomena across Indian languages. So, mm, varieties now, some scholars also recognize this. English itself is a variety. Maybe it will replace. I don't know. I'm not expecting this
Mhm.
happening very soon. But in a because of the market force, because of the global factors, this can become a reality. That Hindi, as a kind of pure Hindi,
Mhm.
is not a kind of people who not kind of the entity that people are actually going to accept. So English will a kind of a switch language, a variety. Now, a variety will become dominant as far as market space, public space is concerned.
Yeah.
In
Thank you,
linguistic.
Dr. Thakur. I think I'll have one more question for Dr. Kosh.
Yeah.
Is the metaphor metonymy interaction more apparent in visual advertisements than in purely verbal advertisements?
Uh, no, I think they are quite common in verbal also, because
Mm-hmm.
so far I have studied mostly verbal metaphors,
Mm-hmm.
and visual is yes important, but what I found from my studies so far, the visual cues, the way West has used, is not so much common in the Indianization of the advertisements, or only the Indian advertisement. They are not taking actually the great advantage of doing uh, with the visual world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, narratives are important. Mostly, what we if you look at the YouTube ads and the commercials, short commercials which are shown in the television, narratives are important, not
Mm-hmm.
exactly the pictorial still visuals. Still
Mm-hmm.
visuals are far better for English advertisements, like they are giving much more metaphors. Whereas for Indianization of other products as well as the Indian products, I find that a total narrative is giving a picture of the product. So it's not one particular pictorial thing, but a narrative. So you can say multimodal is more important. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Kosh. And one more for Dr. Thakur. Siloti is the second most spoken language in Assam after Assamese. Why isn't it a constitutional language like Boro?
Well, that is must do with socio-political factors than academic one.
Okay,
So,
All, all linguists.
whether a
that's
language
the
is recognized as language or
uh-huh.
dialect, whether language is
Yeah.
listed in a constitution by state government or central government, these issues are actually much more. We all know.
Of
So,
course.
Political issues.
political issues, social
Yeah.
issues. So, power.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
not academics.
Yeah.
We,
So
we,
yeah.
we love, as linguists, we love all the languages to be
Of
listed as
course.
languages.
Of course.
Equally important.
Unfortunately, they're not existing inside a vacuum. There are several factors, extra linguistic ones,
Yeah. Yeah.
that also interplay that come into play also. This is I think this is one final question for the two of you, Dr. Thakur and Dr. Kosh. It seems that English is the preferred language in wider domains in India. I guess this has profound effects on language diversity and language use, which we have seen in the two presenters' presentations. Can the speakers comment further about the position of English vis-a-vis other local languages in India? Um, anyone can comment?
Yeah, the status of other local languages in India.
Yes.
Yeah.
The position of English vis-a-vis other local languages in India.
Yeah. As I think English is still, as he also mentioned, still the language which is considered to be going to the social level, higher social status and higher social level. That is why English education is also preferred even by the low income group people, and they prefer third grade English medium schools instead of sending their kids to vernacular medium schools.
Mhm.
So in case of advertisements and billboards and other signs and symbols, what we find that there is always a substratum. As you said, that classification of the products is very important there, whom the product is actually addressed to whom to pursue, and depending on that the language is used. And also it depends on the how much like for the international products, when they are introduced, at like how long they are in the market. When they are in the market for a time, considerable period of time, they have already gained their market, then they go for other social campaigning, not before that. It is true for beverages, it is true for other
Yeah.
products, like not in the beginning.
Yeah.
Substratum is very important. And yeah, when coming to the vernacular language, it's the specific uh, cultural things which are
Mhm.
so. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gosh. How about Dr. Takur? You
Actually,
mentioned in your presentation that English is
yeah,
also the privileged language.
yeah. The research in linguistics as well as in other disciplines, language related disciplines, they show that there is advancement for Indian languages for a period of time. So most of the Indian languages, major Indian languages, including some minor Indian languages, they have developed for last several decades since independent India. Okay, these languages have been developing. At the same time, English has also been okay. There is no actually from a social point of view, English, the role of English, the significance of English in the public eyes. English is still a language of opportunity. English is still opportunity. Will give provides ladder for social upliftment. So even rural people, even village people, they don't know English, but they want their kids to be educated in English medium schools because uh, they want better opportunities, better livelihood. Government, different governments have been actually focusing on developing Indian languages and neutralizing or minimizing the dependence on English by different schemes. But for so far, this has not actually effect. This has not no effect to a great extent. No effect actually. So English remains to be a language which is to be counted in a big way. In I mentioned this also, not elaborate in detail. In 2020 national education policy, government has now planned to replace English as medium of instruction in higher education, in technical education, in medical education, in professional education by vernacular languages. So, if a state province has official language as Hindi, in IIT, the medium of instruction will be Hindi, not English. If the
Yeah.
state's language is Tamil,
Mhm.
the medical sciences will be
Mhm.
taught in Tamil rather than in English. So, the efforts by governments are actually making some inroads to minimize dependence on English, but at present, at this point of time, there is no much difference in the dependence on English or significance of English or role of English or status of English in English as language of a big brother actually, language as big brother, language as actually international level language, a language with the best opportunity. Still English is having that status. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Takur. Thank you, Dr. Thakur and Dr. Tosh, for expertly addressing the questions from the audience. At this point, let me read the certificates of appreciation to be presented to our guest speakers. University of the Philippines, Diliman, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, Department of Linguistics. This certificate of appreciation is hereby given to Dr. Anil Thakur for delivering the lecture Indian Linguistic Diversity, a Brief Outline, and to Dr. Sanjukta Ghosh for delivering the lecture Cross-Cultural Study of Verbal and Visual Metaphors in the Advertisements as part of the Linguistics Special Lecture Series organized by the Department of Linguistics, UP. Given this 4th of November 2022, signed by our department chair, Maria Cristina S. Gallego. Thank you very much again, once again, to Dr. Thakur and Dr. Ghosh. Surely, those who will be watching the recorded live stream of this LSLS numbers 3 and 4 would also have to will also have questions uh, towards our guest speakers. So I see that Dr. Gosh is also answering some questions in Facebook and in YouTube. So hopefully they can also get in touch with you for possible collaborative research projects, no, in the future. I would also like to invite everyone to tune in to the other events of our department in celebration of the centennial anniversary of the UP Department of Linguistics. For this November, we have Lexicon Unpacked featuring the concept of sakit to be presented by instructor Michael S. Manahan and BA Linguistics alum Mary Diane Hamindang. This is going to be held on 15th of November 2022, 10 o'clock a.m. Philippine Standard Time. Also to be live streamed on the Facebook page and YouTube channel of the UP Department of Linguistics. And happening on 18th of November 2020, 28th of November 2022 at 10 o'clock a.m. also Philippine Standard Time, the fifth installment of the Linguistic Special Lecture Series 2022 featuring Dr. Madoka Hamine of Mayo University in Japan. She will be presenting a lecture titled Indigenous Research Methodologies, or IRM. How can we apply them in East Asian contexts? So we hope to see you in the other events, in the future events of the department in celebration of our centennial anniversary. Thank you to those of you who are watching the live stream of today's event. You may claim your certificate of attendance after you have accomplished the evaluation form. Um, the link may be found, the link is down below our screen. Okay. The Google form will be open until 5 o'clock p.m. today, PST, 4th of November 2022. Thank you once again for tuning in to today's program, and to those who will be watching the recording of the installments of LSLS. This is Jem R. Javier, your moderator for LSLS 2022 numbers 3 and 4. We hope to see you at the next events in celebration of the centennial anniversary of the UP Department of Linguistics. Goodbye and have a nice day.